Did you know that the Human Torch died once? Reed Richards had already been in the process of creating a new super organization, the Future Foundation. Johnny's death was the last straw for Reed, who had been growing disenchanted with the scientific community on Earth. This time around, he thought he had to take matters into his own hands, so he recruited the smartest kids in the world to join him. But wait, before we discuss that, let us give you some background. The secret invasion had barely ended, but Earth 616's heroes were once again dealing with a couple of dangerous threats. Reed was already toying with the idea of a scientific organization that would help humanity for real, and he had even selected some great members for it. However, fate had something in store for the heroes. For the Fantastic Four, it all began when their home base, the iconic Baxter Building, was raided by the cult of the Negative Zone in Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Number 586, from December 2010. This villainous organization, also known as the Other Side of Zero, was an espionage team working with the Annihilation Wave. Yes, Annihilus's violent army. You can imagine why this was terrible news. Annihilus is a space warlord from the Negative Zone, whose main goal in life is to conquer everything and anything, including Earth. When the cult of the Negative Zone entered the building, breaching the portal of the Negative Zone, they brought an Annihilus army with them. They planned to take control of the building, then turn it into their own home base for the Annihilus invasion. Unfortunately, Reed and Sue weren't around at the time. Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman were working on a mission of their own, so the cult only found Johnny, Ben, and some potential members of the Future Foundation, including Franklin Richards, Sue and Reed's powerful son from the future. The problem is that at the time, Ben didn't have any abilities. During this time, the Thing was human. You know, he was basically taking a break from his rocky body thanks to a serum created for him. This is amazing news for him, but it was bad timing. Johnny was basically alone to fight the Horde alongside his nephew Franklin. While Franklin took down the army, the Human Torch realized the only way to close the portal was from the other side. Ben was about to do it, but Johnny didn't let him. In Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Number 587, Johnny threw himself inside the portal and closed it immediately. Once on the other side, Annihilus demanded that he open the portal back. The brave Human Torch refused, so the villain killed him. On the other side of the situation, the Fantastic Four, now only 3, mourned Johnny, who was more than a teammate to them, but a family member. Of course, since this is comics we're talking about, the Human Torch returned eventually. But before this happened, Mr. Fantastic got a renewed energy to make the Future Foundation work, inspired by Johnny's sacrifice. Reed is the smartest man on Earth 616, so it makes sense that he considers intelligence to be the most important tool for change. However, when planning for the Future Foundation, he also knew that he needed to select a free-thinking group. This means nobody with a hidden agenda, no morally corrupted children, no matter how smart, and of course only members who share his goal, to make the world better for humanity and its future generations. So, the obvious founding members were his teammates, Sue Storm and Ben Grimm. In a way, the Future Foundation felt like a rebranding of the Fantastic Four. These even share initials, FF. And of course, Marvel capitalized on this. In fact, Jonathan Hickman's run on the Future Foundation was supposed to be named after this organization. Instead, it was just FF, since this allowed the fans to feel this run as a successor to the Fantastic Four. Of course, even though the Future Foundation run replaced the Fantastic Four run, the team wasn't dissolved. They kept working together too as a kind of sub-unit of the Future Foundation. So now the Foundation had Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman, and her light manipulation abilities. She can turn invisible and create force fields out of psionic energy. Then, there was the brawn to Mr. Fantastic's brains, Ben Grimm, aka the Thing, with incredible strength and unbreakable skin. But who else? Beyond the original team? Well, first, a member nobody expected to see here, Spider-Man. You probably know Peter Parker and Johnny Storm are best friends. Although they had a bumpy relationship in the beginning, they became tight as thieves with time. In fact, Johnny asked Peter to join the Fantastic Four tons of times. So when the Human Torch died, Spidey decided to honor this request, becoming the 4th member of the Fantastic Four. You probably know what's up with Spider-Man's powers, but let's recap. Peter Parker's spider-like abilities basically grant him proportional spider strength, stamina, and resistance. He can crawl on walls, he shoots webs out of his wrists, and the most important thing, he has a powerful Spidey sense that allows him to notice danger before anyone else. This definitely came in handy during his time with the Future Foundation. Another surprising member was Dr. Nathaniel Richards, who happens to be a time traveler. Of course, there were also Franklin and Valeria Richards, They are the children of Reed and Sue, after all. Even if they come from the future, these two are very different. Like their parents. Valeria doesn't have any powers, but she's one of the most intelligent beings in the whole universe. Some believe she can give his father a run for his money. Franklin, on the other side, is one of the most powerful Marvel characters ever. Did you know this? He's a mighty reality warper. Among his many feats, he created a room of nothing where Black Bolt didn't have any abilities. Imagine what he was able to do for his team. Now, all these members were mostly coincidental heroes who ended up joining Reed Richards' new team. However, others were basically handpicked by Mr. Fantastic, thanks to their abilities and, of course, their brains. First, Alexander Power. Currently known as Zero-G, Alex has the ability to control gravity. More specifically, he can stop this force from working or enhance it by creating anti-gravitons and gravitons that surround him and everything he touches or that is inside his non-gravity fields. Pretty cool, huh? Of course, he's also smart enough to understand how all this works, so Reed considers him an amazing asset. Reed didn't just invite humans to join the Future Foundation, he also recruited Tong, Turg, Miek, and Kor, 4 Moloids or Mole Men from Forgotten City. These 4 heroes were particularly smart among their kind, created by the High Evolutionary. Tong, Turg, Miek, and Kor were persecuted in their hometown, so Reed gave them a chance at a better life on Earth. Of course, this was no charity case. They are incredibly smart, often solving problems no one else in the team can handle. There's also Dragon Man, a super strong android with fire breath. Although he isn't as smart as other members of the team, Dragon Man makes up for this with his sheer strength. He's definitely a formidable combatant. Reed also brought in a couple of mutants into the team. First, Arthur Maddox, aka Artie, a child with telepathic abilities that allow him to project his own thoughts into images. These images are so big sometimes that they become illusions that work as a defense. Additionally, Leech, the mutant known for his ability to block others' mutations. Finally, Reed invited another genius-level intellect to the roster, Bentley 23, a clone of the Wizard, and one of the most brilliant minds on Earth. 616. Bentley 23 is basically a human computer. He's knowledgeable in any scientific area known to humans, and he's also an amazing tactical analyst. Both things make him valuable on and off the battlefield. Of course, since he's a genius, his work with the Future Foundation is mostly intellectual. However, he also has some one-on-one combat skills. Since the Future Foundation was created, the organization has had tons of members, including Uhura, Ant-Man, She-Hulk, and Powerhouse. However, the most controversial member yet is Victor Von Doom. Reed Richards' biggest arch-enemy, Dr. Doom, actually worked with the Future Foundation after Valeria and Franklin invited him. This was definitely a controversial choice. In fact, the Thing attacked Doom the moment he saw the villain. Reed and Sue had to get in the middle and help him regain control of his emotions. However, even if it pains us to admit it, Doom was a valuable member of the team. This is no brainer, really. Victor Von Doom may be as evil as they come, but he's also very smart, and he's an expert in both science and magic. He has mastered feats most mortals wouldn't even comprehend, like time travel, teleportation, telekinesis, and mind transference. He's also a skilled fighter. Not that he uses physical fighting often. Doom prefers to fight with his mind, but he's prepared for the punches anyway. Now, Dr. Doom's Future Foundation's membership definitely broke the no corrupt man rule we mentioned before, right? But would you believe if we told you Doom actually changed a bit during his time with the Future Foundation? We won't tell you he became a hero. However, the villain got close to a redemption arc when he decided to stay loyal to Latveria during a fight against the Mad Celestials. Not only did he refuse his chance to escape, but he fought until his apparent death. Almost heroic, really. Doom didn't last long with the Future Foundation, but this organization clearly marked him a bit, since he made his own version of it when he became God Emperor Doom. After taking control of the universe and becoming the ruler of Battleworld, Doom basically gave himself Reed Richards' life. He altered reality so Sue Storm was his wife, and Franklin and Valeria, his kids. Stephen Strange became his right hand, and the Future Foundation was under his leadership. He called it just Foundation, though. Doom's foundation focused on science, but not as a means for humanity's progress. They created inventions to make life better for everyone, but their true hidden goal was to ensure Battleworld stayed under Doom's leadership. In fact, once Sheriff Strange died, and it became obvious that there were some traitors in Battleworld, Doom ordered Valeria to use the Foundation's resources to find these enemies. Basically, they stopped acting as a scientific team and became enforcers for Doom, just like the Thor Corps. Doom's foundation was led by Valeria Von Doom, Victor's daughter, but had an incredible roster including non-fictional iconic characters like Nikola Tesla and Nostradamus. Like everything Doom created during his time as Emperor God Doom, this organization disappeared once the heroes brought the multiverse back to its original shape. Dr. Doom isn't the only Marvel character who created his own version of the Future Foundation. Earth 1610's Reed Richards, aka The Maker, had a similar idea. He founded the Children of Tomorrow. Except, this Reed Richards isn't a hero. In fact, he's a true villain. Having lost Sue to Ben Grimm and forced to deal with his abusive father, this version of Mr. Fantastic simply snapped and became The Maker. The Maker became obsessed with fixing the world, so he started obeying his darkest instincts, controlling others and manipulating. He was convinced that he was the only one who could rule Earth 1610 properly. Basically, this Reed became a villain out of arrogance. Among the many things he did to perfect the world, the Maker created the Children of Tomorrow, a team of kids created through science by Reed himself. The Maker then underwent a violent evolutionary process and forced the Children of Tomorrow to go through it too. He basically created a technological dome where time passes at a different pace. Here, he and the Children of Tomorrow spent 5 minutes of real time, evolving throughout 1,000 years. This ensured they would become perfect humans. Once evolved, the Children of Tomorrow became the Maker's main army. They ensured his leadership and went against the heroes who tried to stop Reed. Although they are his children, Reed doesn't really love these creations. They're basically soldiers for him, tools to maintain control. Very different from Earth 16's Reed, who truly loves his family. While the Future Foundation includes different heroes, the Children of Tomorrow only have members who were specifically created for the task. In fact, each of them has a specific role. The city is the personification of the dome, while Quorum is the representation of 4 members who make most decisions. The builders are exactly that. They created the dome and keep it working perfectly. The thinkers and teachers are the philosophers of this community, and the knives, spears, and swords are its military. Finally, there's Death, a deformed child who was raised in secret, far from his siblings, to lean into his most basic, violent instincts, just to act as a suicide bomber for the Maker's plans. Death can't even speak, but he's supposed to just give his life away for the Maker's success. It's a very tragic figure. Now, since these two teams are so different, you would be inclined to assume they aren't parallels at all. Maybe even think that the only thing in common between them is that their leaders are variants of one another. However, you should know that Jonathan Hickman, who created both teams, actually created them as parallels. In fact, the Maker's speech when founding the Children of Tomorrow in Ultimate Fallout No. 4, August 2011, mirrors Mr. Fantastic's speech when founding the Future Foundation in Fantastic Four, number 579 from May 2010. So yes, the Children of Tomorrow are basically the Future Foundation's evil variant. With the Fantastic Four about to debut in the MCU, we can't help but wonder if the Future Foundation will play a role in the end of the multiverse saga. Not only is Doom's Foundation in Secret Wars, but the Future Foundation also had a role in this event. Before the final incursion ended with the known multiverse, Reed and the Future Foundation put their brains together to create a series of vessels that would make their users immune to the multiversal crisis. They tried to include as many people as possible on these vessels, but there weren't enough to save them. In fact, the one with the Future Foundation members broke as it made it into the eye of the incursion. Otherwise, Doom wouldn't have been able to warp their lives. Then, once Doom was actually defeated, the Future Foundation was key to bringing the multiverse back to its normality. All these geniuses obviously had a big part in helping Earth 616 look as it did before Secret Wars. So the Future Foundation isn't just central to Reed Richards' story, but they also play a huge role in Secret Wars thanks to their smarts. Do you think they will make it into Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars? Since most of the Future Foundation members in the comics haven't debuted in the MCU, like Leech or Alex Power, maybe the MCU Future Foundation will have other members. This cinematic universe has truly smart heroes like Shuri, Bruce Banner, and Rocket Raccoon. All these characters could be valuable members of this team. Maybe Avengers. Secret Wars will just set the ground for the Foundation to appear in the potential Phase 7. Who knows? It's honestly way too soon to know if this organization will make it to the big screen. Would you like to see it? Did you know all these things about the Future Foundation? Let us know in the comments below and remember to subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.
Has to be us.
We will protect you.